Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk really candidly with you about pregnancy and sexual intercourse. So this is going to be probably a pretty long video because I have a lot to say about this topic. And before I start, I want to say this is just my own individual experience with pregnancy and sex. I've heard lots of different stories and mine's really different, so I don't know. The first thing is that before I got pregnant, I did hear that pregnancy sex could be kind of uncomfortable and kind of hard because you're getting a bigger belly. I also heard that many people who get pregnant for the first trimester or so, they get a really high sex drive. This was not my experience at all, so I was kind of weirded out. Also, something you need to know is before I got pregnant with this little boy, I was pregnant 3 times before and I had 3 miscarriages. And also, my last miscarriage was 8 months before I got pregnant again, and during that 8 months, I had lost 20 pounds. That last miscarriage really messed with my hormones. I gained a lot of weight. I wasn't feeling my best, my clothes weren't fitting, so 2 months after that miscarriage, I decided to lose some weight, and I lost 20 pounds in 6 months, and I was feeling amazing. So when I first got pregnant with baby number 4, this little boy here, honestly, I was terrified. I thought, not only am I going to have another miscarriage, because I just assumed that I was going to have a miscarriage because I'd had 3 of them, I was going to also have those horrible hormones, and I was going to gain weight again after I just lost 20 pounds. So I wasn't rejoicing. I was really scared, and I was nervous, and I had a lot of fear and anxiety. So this impacted my sex life, of course. I didn't want to have sex with my husband. This was all because of a fear of miscarriage, you know. I was afraid that I was going to lose this baby. I was afraid of putting things down there. I was afraid of my husband's interest in that area during this time, and it really affected our sex life. Also, I did not have a higher sex drive with pregnancy. My sex drive went way down, like 0. I don't know if this was because of my fear or because of the pregnancy hormones, but it was 0. Around week 6 of being pregnant, I found out at week 3.5, so I found out really early. At week 6 or 7, I got hit by crippling, awful pregnancy nausea, and I couldn't even stand to be touched. Like, I was spending so much time focusing on not being nauseous that if my husband would touch me, not even sexually, like just touch me, like rub my head or try to soothe me with touch, it would make the nausea 10 times worse because I would have to be concentrating on him. It just broke my concentration of trying to not be nauseous. So honestly, I was lucky if I showered in the first trimester, much less had sex with my husband. So in the second trimester, when my nausea went away, I tried to resume having sex with my husband because at that point I realized this is the longest that I've ever been pregnant. All my miscarriages were in the very first trimester before week 8, so they were really early. I realized that this baby was thriving and I wasn't going to have a miscarriage, and I lost a lot of those fears. I started praying a lot, and I started trying to have sex with my husband. However, it was extremely, excruciatingly painful to have sex. I don't know why. It was really confusing. Besides, when I lost my virginity, I've never had painful sex. Since the very first few times I've had sex, I've never had painful intercourse before. So it was mind-blowing, and it was really hard on both me and my husband because, of course, he doesn't want to hurt me. And I don't want to do something that I know is going to be excruciatingly painful. It was really, really painful, as in no enjoyment, just pain the entire time. And at that point, I really didn't know why. So when I went to my doctor in the second trimester for a checkup, I talked to them about this, and they said that some women during pregnancy, they don't lubricate themselves. I don't know the correct terms for this. That their vagina doesn't get lubricated naturally. So my husband and I bought some lube on the internet, and we bought a recommended one by my OB/GYN because she said you need to be careful what you put down there while you're pregnant. And it helped a little bit. It went from excruciatingly painful to mildly unpleasant, annoying, and painful. And as you can imagine, this was really frustrating for my husband as well for me, because he likes sex and I like sex. Like, when we first got married, I had a higher sex drive than he did, and it just took a toll on my marriage. Like, my husband was trying to be nice and understanding to me and not like pressure me for sex, but at the same time I knew that he missed sex, and I felt bad that I didn't want to have sex and that it was painful to me and that it was not pleasant and that I didn't act the same way during sex as I used to because it was painful, and I was trying not to show him how much pain I was in. I don't know if that makes any sense to you all. Halfway through my second trimester, we found out I had marginal placenta previa, and I was put on pelvic rest, which honestly, it was a relief to me. So we had a medical reason that we couldn't have sex because of how close my placenta was to my cervix. When I checked it later though, it had gravitated upwards, and I no longer had marginal placenta previa, and we were taken off bed rest, so we could have sex again. So after we were taken off pelvic rest, we both wanted to try to have sex again. It had been 7.5 weeks that I was on pelvic rest, so it had been a pretty long time, and I thought maybe things would have changed down there, maybe it would be a little bit better. However, my belly had gotten a little bit bigger. This was probably around week 27 or 28, and maneuvering my belly with my husband's belly, because he has a bit of a beer belly, is kind of comical. Like, the sex still hurt, it was still uncomfortable, but even more than that, it was now awkward. I don't know a better way to say that. It was hard to maneuver, it was hard to like find a position that worked for both of us. I ended up just being on top, and that's the only position right now that we can really do. I think if my husband was a little bit skinnier, we might be able to do more positions, but with both of us having bellies right now, it's a little bit interesting. We've had sex probably 4 or 5 times since I was taken off pelvic rest. The very last time we had sex was the first time that it was only painful for probably the first minute or two. And I was kind of shocked that I enjoyed it. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I'm really, really hopeful that this painful sexual experience with pregnancy is going away. Like, I know that your vagina down there gets really engorged with blood. I know that things can swell, and there's lots of stuff that goes on down there. I have no idea why I'm experiencing awful, terrible pain with sex. The lube did help a whole lot. Like, I think my body just stopped making lubrication down there for some reason. But I wanted to make a video about this, even though I know it's kind of awkward and a little bit personal, just because I've never heard of painful sex during pregnancy before. I've heard of it being awkward, a little bit embarrassing, but I've never heard of it being painful. And it was a really hard thing to go through, and I'm still going through it. Like, it's still painful for the first minute or two that we're having sex. And I know that I experienced like feelings of like feeling like a failure, feeling like I couldn't please my husband, even though I know that he was okay with it and he didn't want to do anything that would hurt me. I just felt like, you know, we're gonna have this baby and we're gonna have even less time to have sex, and this is a time when I wanted to be like fulfilling all of my husband's wildest dreams and just making him #1, because I'm gonna have a baby that I have to take care of, and I can't even do that. So it was really hard to go through, and I'm hoping that it gradually starts getting better and that after pregnancy there isn't any more complications, because I know that I have to squeeze a baby out of my vagina, so I know that can change things too. So yeah, if you would love to leave me a comment about what your sexual experience was like during pregnancy, I would be very interested in hearing that. Very interested in knowing if anyone else had any of the same problems that I had. But I know it's a really personal topic, so I mean, I don't expect you to like spill your sexual history in the comments or whatever, but yeah. This is just my story, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.